This is not on the agenda, but it's an issue that's been bubbling up recently. I think all of us are aware of the issues with TikTok. And I know CFO Petronas has been very vocal about this in the last several weeks. Back in November, there was a hearing at the House Homeland Security Committee up in Washington where the director of the FBI said, and I'm quoting, that Chinese law essentially requires companies to, quote, do whatever the government wants them to do in terms of sharing information or serving as a tool of the Chinese government. And that quote went on to say, and so that's plenty of reason by itself to be extremely concerned, unquote. And just a few days ago, the University of Florida issued an advisory to its students, which I appreciate, advising them of the dangers of TikTok. As a state university system, we've not really taken any action with respect to this, but I've noticed that other states have. In Montana, Arkansas, Texas, University of Texas, and others. And it seems to me it makes sense for the University of Florida to do what it's done, and it might be doing more, but I think as a state university system, we have an obligation to protect our research. I represent this board on the board of Moffitt Cancer Center, and the first meeting I went to as a representative of this board, we had to fire the CEO of Moffitt, who was one of the most well-regarded international researchers for cancer, because he got tied up in the Thousand Talents program that China was deploying to deliberately steal our research. When you think about the potential dangers to students and their data, and the potential dangers to our faculty and the work and the labor that they've put into research, and the danger to the taxpayers of the theft of that research, all of this together means we probably need to have a policy statewide. So I would like to ask, this is not noticed on the agenda, so I really can't offer action today, but I have spoken to the chair and to the chancellor, and both have agreed that we can move forward with some type of regulation. And I intend to bring some regulation forward for the next meeting. But what I'd prefer is if the university leadership could get together and agree on what the tenets of that regulation could look like, and based on the work you do, we could codify that work into our regulation. That way we have a single statewide policy that addresses this, and I think it's critically important. And I know it's not on the agenda, but if there's anybody that has any questions or comments about that before I move into the agenda. Governor Corcoran, did you?
I would just echo your position, Alan, and I like the direction you're going, and I'd like to continue down that path.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Governor Serio?
Same thing. It was very well said. I mean, Governor Levine, you've been very hawkish on cybersecurity issues for a long time. I mean, we could talk about the, anxiety-inducing tool of conformity that TikTok has been called, but that's a whole nother issue. But I think this is the right direction we need to go. We need to protect our intellectual material.
Okay.